actually will be dedicated to the Mary Ellen Henderson administrators, and there will be 5 parking visitor spots that will be come and go spots that in the evening will become the ASAP spots, ASAP pickup and drop off spots. So during the day they'll work as visitor spots, in the afternoon they'll work as ASAP spots. The vast majority of the parking for Mary Ellen Henderson will actually happen in the existing parking lot where it is now and continue down towards where the softball field starts, sort of the outfield of the old softball field. That gives us 113 spots to include 2 ADA spots or handicap spots in that area, and could actually accommodate some George Mason staff if we needed to overflow. But we believe that the 113 spots are sufficient for the Mary Ellen Henderson staff, which means that that light green area that hooks around, that's the new parking lots that's being developed right now, will be considered overflow spots for staff, for students, for parents, and the like. But what's really nice, I think, about this plan is, one, it's simple, it's color-coded, it keeps the Mason staff on one side, it keeps the Henderson staff on another, and it also keeps our students separated from both the staff parking lots and keeps them out of the circulation flow. So let me talk about the circulation flow here. So John, if you could advance one. This plan only works if everybody follows directions. I want to say that up front, and so we're going to really ask that our community help us out for the next 3 years as we complete this project. But Mary Ellen Henderson's access is off of Leesburg Pike. Let me say that again. Mary Ellen Henderson's access is off Leesburg Pike. So as Mary Ellen Henderson students, they'll come in front of George Mason. They'll turn into the parking lot in front of George Mason, loop down to where the maintenance office and the maintenance area is. They'll move into Husky Loop. They'll loop around, they'll come out on Leesburg Pike, and they have to take a right out of Leesburg Pike. So if you come in off of Leesburg Pike, you make your loop, you go right on Leesburg Pike, you can loop back around. You might remember Mary Beth Connolly did the super secret way. You go back towards the Metro, and you can come right back out towards Haycock back there. So it'll be really important that that happens, and also just a reminder to our community that you cannot take a right off Leesburg Pike at Mary Ellen Henderson Middle School. You have to turn right in front of the high school. There's no right turn off of Leesburg in front of Mary Ellen Henderson. So I'm telling all of you this in advance because we're going to blitz the community with this information and want to make sure everybody understands. So that's the Mary Ellen Henderson drop-off and parking access plan. The George Mason, there are 2 pieces here. The loop for Kiss and Ride, that also, by the way, at Mary Ellen Henderson is a Kiss and Ride. That's the Kiss and Ride loop. So the Kiss and Ride loop and the drop-off and parking for GMHS is off of Haycock Road. So we're asking that people come in off of Haycock Road, go up in front of the flagpole entrance, everybody knows well, make the loop there, come out back to Haycock, and make a right. You can't go left there, make a right out on Haycock and come down to Leesburg Pike, and then you can go right or left. That, coming in off of Haycock, gets you to all of the parking on the backside, gets you to all the student parking down in the lower lot and that upper lot, and puts the staff where they need to be. If you are in the red lot on what would be considered the south side of the school or in front of George Mason, and those teachers that are assigned to that lot will know that they're assigned to that lot, your entrance is going to be off Leesburg Pike. So here you're going to come into off of Leesburg Pike, take a right, come in, and you're going to park in that area in front of George Mason High School. And then your exit will be out off of Leesburg Pike. So my hope is that as we communicate this, that it is a fairly straightforward and simple plan that keeps everyone sort of separated. But the one thing that I didn't mention in this, and John, if you'd go back to the one more, the one thing I want to point out here also, and this is an important component to this, is the bus circulation. So bus circulation in the morning our buses will come like they currently do. They'll come off of Haycock down what essentially is the future Mustang Alley, and they are going to loop around towards Henderson and come out on Route 7 and take a right onto Route 7. The important thing to note here is where it says Red 2 GMHS parking and that red trapezoid, the point on the upper left of that trapezoid, and I wish I could point to it, but it's you got it? Yeah, right there. That Mustang Alley is going to be shut down at 7:30 and will be closed off until 8:15. So there will be no site circulation through that bus area after 7:30. In the afternoons, same thing is going to happen, except that our buses are going to queue in the afternoon, and they're going to start queuing. They're going to start queuing up about where the ASAP rooms are now, and they're going to queue up all the way back to where that point of the trapezoid is. So in the afternoons, we're also going to shut down that bus lane from 2:30 to 3:15. So from 2:30 to 3:15, it will be impassable as well. So the plans and the circulation that we showed with the pickup drop-off loops doesn't interfere at all with those bus lanes. The only critical moment that will happen in the mornings, and we'll have some support with Clark Gagnon and the police, is that when the buses are exiting in the morning and the afternoon onto Leesburg Pike, traffic coming in to Husky Loop that came in front of George Mason will have to stop temporarily to let the buses out. So that's a lot of information. What questions do you have for me? Is it simple enough? It seems like a simple plan, and maybe it's too simple.
That you're basically shutting that down.
I think shutting the bus loop down will be important to kind of keep the traffic out of that flow. Also, and I think it was mentioned earlier, when school is beginning, construction traffic stops, and when school is ending, construction traffic stops. So they will not be interfering with our traffic flow in the morning or in the afternoon.
So just a few questions then, Dr. Noonan. So for seniors going into basically the black lot, the gray lot there, access is coming in through the main road up, or there's that other entrance that's only off of Haycock that goes straight into the parking lot? Which one are we thinking about?
For those students, it would be either or.
Okay.
They could. Now, the one thing they won't be able to access is the road that goes up
Right.
towards the front of Mason. We're going to put cones there so you can't access that access road that goes up. So you could come off of Haycock and take a right into the parking lot, right at the far end closer to Leesburg Pike, or you can come into Mustang Alley and take a left and come in.
Okay. The other, so the one question then that comes to mind right away is if you're coming from south of Broad Street, south of Leesburg Pike, heading up Haycock, and you're going to make a left turn into that alleyway, there's also then a temptation to make a left turn into that lower entrance that's only off of Haycock. And I don't know if there's, and then coming out, there's a temptation to make either a U-turn there or a J-turn there. You come out the legal entrance and you go across a way that you're not really supposed to make a U-turn in there. Mm-hmm. Given the amount of traffic right now, is there any thought, has there been any discussion with the city about, putting any barricades or anything to discourage, in the center line of that, to discourage that sort of flow and make it a little cleaner? Yeah,
we have not had any conversations with them, with the exception of a conversation that happened in the spring regarding putting up some sort of, not signage or specific cones or anything like that, but striping it so that you couldn't sort of block that area, so that you could come out more easily and go left if you wanted to go left, or right if you wanted to go right. And I know that they've considered that, but I think that's as far as it's gotten.
Okay. One other thing then, just as a question, an additional way of getting information out and sort of helping people see what the intention is. Has there been any thought to having somebody drive the route with a passenger filming it and then just put the videos up on the web to?
It's a great idea.
Okay.
It's a great idea. It's kind of how we did the super secret route with Mary Beth Connolly. So we certainly can look into that.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Nunes, another question from the meeting on Sunday night. Are we going to, with this new configuration of parking with athletic events, we're going to reach out or have the AD reach out to the different school divisions as they come for games to us of where they are parking or different ways of where to find parking in advance of them coming to town for those home games, with football season coming up pretty quickly?
Absolutely. Julie Braven does an outstanding job of working with the athletic directors from the other places, but obviously, with being under construction, she will certainly be reaching out and saying, here's where you're going to park your bus when you come, here's where your fans can park if they travel. But on game nights, sort of for our home crowds, parking won't be designated as it is in this plan, so you can just come and park wherever. But yes. Okay. All right. So thank you for that, and we will continue to refine this plan. This is as of 3:30 this afternoon, but we feel really good about where it is. And again, I know one of the rites of passage for our students is to drive to school. And we are interested in working with juniors when the timing is right. We just need to figure out, make sure we've got enough for our seniors. The other thing I want to talk about, just in terms of overall traffic at the site, the high school has agreed to do a reduced cost parking pass for students that are carpooling. So you can bring one other person in your car. And what we've said is if you bring another person in your car who would normally have purchased a parking pass, we will reduce your parking pass. So we're working with students on that. The other is we're encouraging carpooling whenever possible with parents. And another is we are strongly encouraging walking and riding. As much as we can reduce the traffic footprint on this site over the next 2.5 years, the better for all of us. It will, I think, alleviate some of the frustration that people might feel if we can just bring the car numbers down and encourage people to walk, ride their bikes, carpool, and find other methods. So the idea of talking with WMATA about the bus is another idea that we can kind of consider too. But we are hoping that people will look for different ways to get to school. And that, Madam Chair, was it for me for an update. Really excited to get school started, and the next time we'll have a meeting here, we will give you a full briefing of sort of the first days of school.
Sure, Mr. Anderson.
So, Dr. Nunes, if I could just ask a follow-up on the last point about moving, to other modes of transportation, other ways of getting to school. At the city council meeting yesterday, there was a conversation briefly about access for bikes, because there's a lot of work that's gone into the process of the West End development and the commons and the new high school design to get bikes on site. But during the construction process, before we get there, has there been any conversation at all about access for bikes and pedestrians coming up through, effectively most of the students that I see now are riding up through the giant parking lot? Has there been any conversation about making that a little bit safer for kids coming to school?
We have talked about what that would look like once they cross Haycock and get onto the school site. We haven't necessarily addressed what it looks like in the giant parking lot, but when they do cross, what we are asking students to do is to sort of hug the building to the right, because there is a walking path that follows all the way around to Mary Ellen Henderson, and would encourage our bikers to go that path as well. So one of the things that we could look at doing is putting something out and showing sort of a safe route once you get on campus as well.
Thank you very much. I am also looking forward to the opening of school, very much so.
I think you speak for many of the parents in the community, Madam Chair.
Section 8.2 is the approval to dispose of assets. Ms. Michael?
Thank you so much. I'm coming to the board this evening to ask for your approval to dispose of 3 assets. We have a 2000 Chevy pickup truck, a 2000 Dodge pickup truck, and a John Deere Gator utility that are all unsafe for current use. We have inquired about doing repairs, and the cost of the repairs exceed the value of each of those vehicles.